أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I greet you with Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome you to our program, Contemporary Issues, in which we continue to look at certain Islamic issues which have come under the spotlight of world attention, where some practices, some beliefs, are questioned by Western civilization, really pointing out that these things are irrelevant, not logical, or they go against modern thinking, etc., etc. And unfortunately, some Muslims have in ignorance fallen into these traps and have become deluded by the arguments which have been presented. So we try to look at some of the issues and try to understand them. Some of the issues are issues where both Muslims and non-Muslims alike really don't understand why. Why does Islam take a position on this or that? And we hope to try to clarify these issues in our program. In this segment, we're looking at, we will be looking at the issue of music from the Islamic perspective. Music, which most people are aware that there is something in Islam regarding music. To some degree, it appears that it is prohibited outright, or some people feel that Muslims are okay. Music, in fact, musicians are okay. It's quite popular amongst Muslims, and in fact, even the guitar in Spain was developed by Muslims when they were in Spain. Now, the actual issue involved here concerning music is that God has created human beings with a nature which loves music. We can see it with a mother singing for her child. Something like this, of course, Islam is not going to prohibit something which is part of the very nature of human beings, to prohibit it just for the sake of prohibition. So, in fact, Islam does not prohibit music outright, but it prohibits the harmful aspects of it. Music is accepted within a particular framework, but outside that framework it has been forbidden. The Prophet ﷺ prohibited the use of wind and stringed musical instruments. In a very famous hadith in which he said, there will be people of my nation who will legalize fornication, the wearing of silk for men, the drinking of wine, and the use of musical instruments. This is a hadith which is recorded by Imam al-Bukhari. It is a very authentic hadith. Furthermore, he said that some people from my nation will drink wine calling it by another name. Merriment will be made for them by the playing of musical instruments and the singing of adult female singers. This is also an authentic hadith which indicates the prohibition of the use of musical instruments in general, as well as that of adult female singers. Now, folk songs which are sung by females who are not adults, this is to a mixed audience, for example, or by males, accompanied by the duff, which is like a small hand drum. This is something which has been made permissible. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged its use in weddings and festivals. And in terms of the recitation of the Quran, it is encouraged to be in a melodious voice. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever doesn't sing the Quran is not of us. So this element of music is accepted within the Muslim society, but that is kept within the bounds of certain festivals, festivities, the recitation of the Quran, etc. And it doesn't become like an obsession. The intent is that it should not become an obsession in the society, because these instruments, etc., they have a tendency to captivate the heart. They captivate the heart in such a way that it becomes the means that people will find solace. When they're down, they turn on the music. And this is where, instead of turning to God, instead of reflecting on God, they get their solace in music. It becomes a substitute, and they become attached to it in such a way that it becomes like an addiction. And when we look at the element that produces music in the society, because some people argue, but it helps me to study. Some students will tell me, that I study better when I listen to music, and others have a variety of different explanations. The point is that if music were beneficial, then the musicians would demonstrate that benefit in their lives. Where what you see instead is that corruption, some of the most corrupt elements of society are found amongst the musicians. The drugs, the deviations, and all the corruption that's there, people committing suicide and all this kind of thing, concentrated in the area of the musicians. Why? If this thing that they're producing is so good, then why don't they benefit from it? Reality is that it in fact does carry an evil and a dark side, which produces that type of corruption amongst themselves, and in the end ends up corrupting elements of the society. If you listen to the songs that are out there, they're promoting promiscuity and adultery and sin, and it's just loaded in the songs. Unfortunately, this is a very corruptive element in the society.